Like, do you feel ready to be a dad? Children are exhausting, baby. So it's gonna be tough, and we are not getting any younger.
Gino and Jasmine have gone from a written out schedule of Jasmine's ovulation period to now questioning, are you even ready? It's gonna be tough. They've regressed back to square one, and I can't help but feel that Jasmine's heart isn't in this. She doesn't want kids with Gino.
I wouldn't have been asking about it, and I wouldn't have said yes in the first place. I wasn't serious. I told you multiple times already. I don't know why you keep asking me.
Nothing is ever straightforward with these two. Gino is starting to get really pissed off. But before we dive into this latest drama, let's just rewind back to the start. So the last we saw Gino and Jasmine was storming out of their wedding photographer's office, triggered at having seen the photos of her and Gino from a much, much happier place. It was a stark reminder of how things used to be. How relatively happy they once were. That is, before learning that Jasmine's kids might not be able to come to the States for 2 years. Now, when we join them in this episode as Gino's chasing after her, Jasmine eventually finds a park bench and they finally sit down and talk.
I'm dealing with depression. You know, it makes a big difference. Like, from 6 months to having our kids here to 2 years.
Gino's been unbelievably stubborn about hiring an immigration attorney. He claims that he can't afford one, but there's a lot of question marks about whether or not that's true, especially as over the last few years we've watched him frivolously spend money on Jasmine. So if he's unwilling to scrape together some money for something as important as this, and if Jasmine hasn't forecast saving any of her own money to help with her own children, then frankly, what sort of parents are they?
You know, I'm suffering. I don't want to feel like this. This is the first time that I have seriously considered going back to Panama.
We've heard Jasmine threaten to go back to Panama time and time again, but this time feels different. The weight of her responsibility to her children is really weighing heavily on her, and so it should. We know that Jasmine's own childhood trauma, her feelings of abandonment from her father, feelings that she's desperate not to pass on to her own kids. But she has some very tough decisions to make. Leaving the States to go back to her kids will mean sacrificing her marriage to Gino. So how much does she value this marriage?
I feel like I have nothing.
Well, I mean, you have me right now.
But I don't feel that you're here with me. You're here for me.
Gino and Jasmine have been ignoring each other since their big fight at the restaurant a few days ago. Jasmine told Gino that he wasn't ready to be a father. His priorities were clearly not with her kids. And in response, Gino told Jasmine to take some responsibility for her own part in bringing her kids over. They were both painfully right. But the silent treatment ever since has clearly affected Jasmine.
I need you. I really do. I need you, baby.
I'm sorry you're feeling like this. I don't want you to go back to Panama.
As we can clearly see, Jasmine's stress has triggered her alopecia. What she's really needed but lacked this past week is support from her husband. It's funny, isn't it? Because of Jasmine's theatrics that happen so often, Gino's own behaviour often slips through the cracks, but Gino is far from perfect. I mean, it's crystal clear that Gino's priority isn't with his stepchildren. He really doesn't seem all that concerned about them. His priority is trying to keep their mum from flying back to Panama, and her threats are now causing him to kick himself into gear.
I'm really sorry that all of this happened, and I feel bad about it. I wanted your kids to be here too. How can I convince you to stay?
Now, here's the thing, right? In the week since they've been to the attorney's office, if Gino's adamant that he's going to do all the paperwork himself, Why has he still not started? Like, what's he waiting for? It's been a week since they saw the lawyer. Why haven't either of them done anything yet? Like, their words seem to contradict their actions. It's all well and good for Jasmine to put on the theatrics or for Gino to say he's gonna do it, but neither of them have done anything. But it's now, as his way of trying to convince Jasmine to stay, that Gino finally promises to start.
So, the travel documents, so you're able to travel to Panama in like 8 months instead of waiting 2 years.
That can give me the strength.
Now, the paperwork that Gino's talking about, Jasmine's adjustment of status paperwork, will give Jasmine the freedom to travel back and forth to Panama in order to see her family. In itself, it might not make her kids get to the States any quicker, but it will make her time apart from her children a lot less destructive. But as Gino's there promising all of these things to Jasmine, I can't help but think that it would also really help him if he also focused on getting himself a job. That would also fix a lot of their problems, like being able to pay for a lawyer, for example.
So this time you are open to have the immigration lawyer verifying everything before it is submitted, right?
Sure. I can do that.
And while I'm not entirely convinced by Gino's half-hearted
Sure,
I do think that this might just be the first time we've ever seen these two compromise on anything throughout their entire relationship. Instead of paying the full $5,000 for the lawyers to do everything, Gino's compromise is to pay the lawyers for their time to consult and verify his paperwork. It seems like a happy medium, but Gino does seem a bit half-hearted in everything he's saying.
I need you to promise that. You're gonna pay for a lawyer to check all the paperwork to make sure that when you submit it, it is done correctly.
Oh, yeah. I'm here, don't worry.
Yeah, did that sound like a confirmed promise to you? To me, it kind of sounded like Gino successfully evaded committing to getting a lawyer. Like, don't get me wrong, money is one thing, right? But Gino's problem with hiring a lawyer seems to be a real personal problem of his. Like, is it a pride thing? Is it his ego that prevents him from hiring a professional? He really seems to think that he can do it better. But regardless, Jasmine is pacified for now.
Te amo muchísimo.
I love you so much, you know.
Oh,
You
that's
have
so beautiful.
no idea how much I love you.
So while Jasmine seems happy enough with the compromise, at least on the surface, it really isn't that easy for her to forget and forgive. She is still harbouring the resentment of everything she's just been through, of not just the shock news about her kids, but also of the silent treatment, of Gino adding to her stress, waiting until her hair fell out before he swallowed his pride, apologised and actually tried to find a solution for them. Those are the kinds of things you just don't forget.
It took a lot of pain to get here, and it's not easy to forget about it. So I really need to rethink what the future with Gino looks like.
It seems like Jasmine has some big thoughts going on upstairs that she's not sharing just yet. But with a fresh pep in both of their steps, husband and wife decide to head out to a nice Italian restaurant to celebrate their compromise. Gino wants to take Jasmine on a nice date night because apparently it's been way too long.
I cannot actually remember when was the last time that you took me out for dinner.
What? I had like 2 salads, remember? All you can eat salad?
A salad buffet on a date night? Huh. Maybe he's not lying about his financial problems. And just to add further evidence to this, Jasmine revealed that they only went there because Gino had coupons. Like, the whole craziness of this marriage doesn't evade me. Like, how did Jasmine, a woman who was essentially looking for a sugar daddy to support her, end up with a coupon collecting salad bar buffet all you can eat for a date man? But then I remember how unique Jasmine is too.
The ones that gets first to the end of the fettuccine wins.
Oh, gross.
They're obviously recreating the iconic scene from The Lady and the Tramp. And if Jasmine's the lady, then I guess Gino's the tramp. But I guess it is just nice to see these guys finally in a place where they can have a little fun with each other. It's very obvious that Jasmine's mood has lifted so much since that conversation with Gino a few days ago.
I'm so happy tonight. I really love when we are not fighting, when we are getting along. That's why I marry you. I enjoy your company.
I enjoy your company all the time.
Jasmine takes the time to thank Gino for the effort that he's made, not just with her paperwork, but also the responsibility of her kids' paperwork too. It's a thank you that feels long overdue, but also very, very necessary. It's something that Gino's been waiting for quite a while now. But Jasmine also comes with a reminder that Gino does need to take this as seriously as possible, especially as he has no experience with children.
They know that mommy loves me, she is with Papa Gino, we're a family, we're gonna be together. They understand all that, but they're still kids.
Understand.
Now, Gino hears Jasmine, but being lectured to about the topic of kids brings up the painful memory of Jasmine claiming he's not ready to be a dad.
You are absolutely not ready to be a father. You don't give a about me.
Well,
All you care is about you and you being okay and you.
screwed up in your dumb head, you know, and that really hurt me because you've always told me before that I am ready, so now you're saying I'm not.
At the time, Jasmine wanted to hurt Gino as brutally as she could. She hit him with that insult, the one insult that she knew would cut deep. But she wasn't exactly wrong, was she? It was an effective insult. It hurt him so much because there is an element of truth there. Gino wants a baby, but he doesn't have money, he doesn't have a job, he doesn't want to move to a bigger house, he doesn't prioritise Jasmine's kids, and that's not even to mention all of his issues of cleanliness, of just a basic understanding of human emotion. He does have a lot of shortcomings, and even though Jasmine apologises for what she said, she's not prepared to back down.
Like, do you feel ready to be a dad? Children are exhausting, baby. So it's gonna be tough, and we are not getting any younger.
Gino definitely feels like the kind of person who loves the idea of being a dad, but maybe hasn't really thought through the realities, the practicalities of the whole thing. Now, as a mother of two, Jasmine does have a lot more experience, and she has some serious doubts about whether or not Gino can rise to the challenge. It's becoming very clear that Jasmine has had a total 180 on the idea of having kids with Gino.
I wouldn't have been asking about it, and I wouldn't have said yes in the first place. I wasn't serious. I told you multiple times already. I don't know why you keep asking me.
Gino's annoyed that Jasmine's not taking him seriously, and in his defence, he's been very clear about wanting kids for the entire time that they've been together. In fact, we've even learned that the inability to have kids was one of the major reasons why his last marriage broke down. This is a very big deal for Gino, and if it had been down to him, Jasmine would have been pregnant a long time ago. So the fact that Jasmine's now beginning to backtrack is a huge blow for him.
I really feel bad about telling Gino that he isn't father material. But now that my children won't be here for 2 years and my mom is sick, I need to focus on coping with those things.
Assuming it does take up to 2 years for her kids to come to the States, those 2 years will be spent with Jasmine frequently flying back and forth to Panama. Don't forget, her mum is also going through some health issues right now. So those frequent flights will be complicated somewhat. They won't be as easy if she's pregnant. And you've got to imagine that somewhere in her thought process, Jasmine might also be wondering what the impact of having another child might be on her existing children. How replaced will her sons feel being separated from her and watching her with a new baby, a new life, while they have to watch from afar, unable to even hug her. That might do irreparable damage, the exact kind of trauma that Jasmine's so keen to avoid. But with Jasmine not being fully honest with Gino, and with Gino also possibly lying about using a lawyer, I forecast there's gonna be some serious turbulence in the future with these two.